with this remote control, I can control every single gate in the system, up to 9 gates, and I'm completely mobile. The head bale I can open incrementally. There's a few other of these on the market, the remote. The head bale's either completely open or completely shut. It's the same as the slide gates. These slide gates are either, turn it on, that's just powered up. They're either completely open or completely shut. The only other one that does the toggle controlled head bale works off a central control panel here, so the operator's only got from there to still be opening and also shutting gates. But I can be all over the place. This will work within a 90 metre radius. So if we're drafting, I can stand way back here and draft. I can keep an eye on the cattle. That if I can see that indicator, I can draft from back here. Whereas the ones on the swing arm, the operator has to have his indicator sitting there and he's fixed here. So you still need somebody else keeping the cattle up. But this takes one person out of the yards. We've been jammed for time today, so we've got Ken Miller, a neighbour, just give us a hand. Normally it's Deb and I doing this. We had another mob of steers in earlier on. I think it was, we put 190 steers backlined and 5 in one, only using the manual setup, and that's where that V-race comes into its own. So basically, getting back to this, from here I can control any operation and be completely mobile. Yep, and the head bale, I can tickle that, open it right up, close it, or I can imitate manual operation. And then down here we've got up to a 5-way draft. The catching is held by the ratchets that are on the crush. So that's why I'm very comfortable to stand right in front and do anything in front. I know that ratchet is not going to let go, and because we're also using the ratchet, we have proper mechanical advantage, because that works the same as our head bale. If you click on the head bale section, you'll see what makes the head bale special. The other big plus about this system is that if I'm up here, Deb can keep the cattle. Like if I've got my back to everything and I'm here doing a job, Deb can work both these gates. Did you want to just show the gates, Deb? So by having that extra person, and it means that Deb can be over there, open this gate. So when we're drafting, Deb can be back here, the cattle are flowing, she doesn't have to come up here anywhere and stop the flow. Or I could open this one. Or Deb can open this one, or I can open up this one. If Deb's right down the back, I can walk over here and I can create a bit of, get the cattle flowing. German engineering in this. The crush weighs well over a tonne. There's extra rails in the drafting gate, so cattle can't get their heads between the rails. If calves or weaners come out and they do happen to get their head in and spin around, they can't. It's a pretty good system, and this got the Award of Excellence at the Australian National Field Day in 2016. And if anybody wants to come in that's thinking about buying a setup like this office, they're very welcome to come out and have a gander at this property we've got up at Dungog. What we're doing today is just inducting some steers we picked up last week at a couple of store sales. These are only weaners. Now you'll see this incremental opening I can do with a head bale. It's the only mobile one available where the head bale is completely mobile. So they're just going to get a mineral drench, a management tag. Deb has already backlined them down the race. and into 5-in-1. What's catching this head bail is actually not the ram. The ram is only imitating handle movement. The ratchet and pawl is still doing the work on the head bail. Now see how I can incrementally open the head bail? It's the only air operated remote that'll do that. The rest are in a fixed position. So the fact that I can walk around and do all these different jobs without being located in a central position, this box saves the job of that person sitting there. So if you're doing a fair bit of cattle work, you'll be one person less in the yards. Now, there's only the odd one that have to use a chin lifter for, because this diamond shaped yoke stops them putting their heads down. Down the track there will be a roof going over this gear. Now I've just got to tickle the head bail open slightly. Just let me have a look. If I want to slow this fella down now, because he's probably going to be a bolter, I can put a bit of squeeze on him. Now after this process, I could also draft 5 different ways using the same controller. But these boys are all going in the same paddock, and they're only weaners, so there's no need to worry about that. I'll try and put back the same hole so I don't hurt him. This is True Test gear which we're using. True Test, I think, are at the forefront of the weighing systems. The scales tear out incredibly quickly, and their backup is very, very good. That XR5000 will store up to 1 million records. So if you, so we'll be able to pick the average daily weight gain. That's if you're breeding. You can have dams, birth weight, size, birth weight, anything you put in an Excel spreadsheet can go into the XR5000. And we could have the weight, and then we could be weighing in the crush, but we had that weigh box made for the field days last year, so we thought we'd bring it out. That weigh box tears out fairly quickly because it's actually got a concrete floor, and when we're not weighing cattle, that becomes part of the V-race. There's also a door on the far side. We've never had one go down yet in any of our V-race sections, but just in case one goes down, there's doors on the far side of all of those V-race sections, including the weigh box. And you'll note with the V-race, the gaps on the far side are closed right up and open and a bit lower on the inside, so as we've got access for backlining and then also needling up and down the race. So it's just a simple case of processing. There's nothing hard about it. It's just a case of doing it. And by doing all this to them now, it gives them a pretty good start when they go into the hills here. So to process them, it is quite quick. Now Deb's just backlined the race. She'll come up and then she will keep weighing. This crush is a top end stabiliser. It's the same crush we've got in the Maitland sale yards that the Maitland sale yards bought off us about 4 years ago, and that crush has had thousands of head of cattle through it. The colour of the crushes we supply now are slightly different. We've gone back to silver and black. This crush was left over from a change of model, so it's the same as the crushes we make now, but just looks slightly different, that's all. Now, some people say giving an oral drench or a tag or a thing is a goddamn nightmare, but I'd suggest that's a crush that's at fault if you're having trouble orally drenching or putting tags in ears or pink eye treatment, etc, etc. I'll just show you something about the front of this drafter. It's on the same as our CC Speed drafter, or the manual drafters we've got, and it's also the same as the Hunter Valley drafter, in that to get to the side of the animal, I don't have to waste time opening a gate up over here. Like if this gate was here, I'd be standing right in front and I'd have very little room to work. But because this balk gate, which also doubles the balk gate, folds around and then makes a well, I've got a nice little area to stand, which you saw me when I was drenching. And if you're going to catch horny cattle, that doubles around and then becomes a balk gate. And I defy anybody that say they have never missed a beast because they haven't caught horny cattle. Now that's the ratchet of the head of the head bale doing the work, and the air is not holding it. It's a ratchet, and there's the same on the squeeze. So that's why this is also such a good setup, because there is no give in that ratchet, and then we're not reliant on brake booster pads or the big 3-inch rams or a giant compressor. A 1.5 or 2 horsepower compressor will easily run any operation. So because that's a ratchet holding that, I have every confidence walking around the front of any. And even under pressure, that head bale will always release. There you go, little fella, you're going to get some medicine. We'll probably have some medicine tonight too, but ours will come out of the fridge. And see the shape of this head bale, plus the design of the head bale, I rarely have to use a chin lifter. When we get down to the last race, I'll just show Ray and Jess. Ray's our cameraman, Jess the sound person, what goes on if we completely run out of power, or there's only a few to do. Our commission buyer picked this guy up out of Single and paid $2.20 for him. He's bloody near a feeder steer now, so there's a bit of, there is some, there's a quick turnaround in this guy, plus a few bucks. See how, as I walk around the front, if I keep my finger on the button, the head bale, as that beast sucks back, will go in further. Just to make the job really easy. I'm just closing that gate most of the time because I don't want to come over and potentially upset Ray and Jess. But normally I would leave that gate open. See how you don't have to open the head bale right up to catch an animal? There's a fair few of the air gears on the market where the head bale is either open or shut. And that makes it nearly impossible to catch one if they're snorting out the front of the head bale by the time you open it and then try and close it. Then they say that you just got to slow them down with a squeeze. That can be problematic too. And there's been a few of the air crushers bought that are like that, and they're now sitting basically redundant. This is the first time that these cattle have been through here, so next time, like our older fellas, they will be a bit better. Now, just in case you do strike a problem, or there's something gets hooked up, or there's something that's bad has happened, and like there's a leg jam somewhere which you can't open, everybody else, you've got a big problem. But I can instantly deactivate all of these sliding gates, crushers, head bales, everything, and there's no pressure on any of these gates whatsoever now. I can open and close gates if one's jammed. I can work the head bale. I can move all those sliding gates, so I can do everything manually. So just so we lose power, or there's only a few to do, you've just picked up upper tabletop out of the weaner sails, and then you don't want to start the compressor up, you don't want to start up the Jenny. Everything will still work manually. So we can just do it. We can do it. We can do it. We can do everything. We can do everything manually, and it's the only system that will allow for this to happen. And it means that if your power goes off, the power voltage, the compressor buggers up, you don't have to let the cattle go, you can keep going, or you may only have a few to do. So we'll just run these last few through manually. And Deb's still got a back line, still repair. Deb can still get the gates. This morning we processed some steers. We just gave them a back line and then a booster 5-in-1. And all we did was, and to save having the Jenny running, we just did that manually. And the beauty of the air is there's a whole lot less walking. And we'll show us drafting in a minute, where the air really comes into its own. Or if a lot of fellas my age that have got buggered rotator cuffs, if you're having trouble getting your hands up over your shoulder, the air down there is a whole lot easier. You don't have to open the head bowl all the way up to generally catch an animal. And the people that open it all the way up and catch a beast and the beast hits it at full tilt, near tips the back or tries to tear the back of the crush off, they think they're heroes, but all they're doing is making it harder for the next bloke that has to catch that animal. Because animals don't like getting hurt, and they do remember getting hurt. I thought he was going to lay down, so I'll just pick him up before he does lay down, because there's been a couple of these white taggers that laid down, so they got very adept in their old last home of, because the crush only had straight baffles, probably didn't have a chin lifter on it, they got used to laying down. Try to put the ear tag back in the same hole, a bit less pain for him. This guy's been hurt in a crush before. This is his first time for our crush, but I guarantee he's been hurt in the last that he went through. That's why he didn't want anything to do with that. Hey, little fella. Yeah, that's it. He's another white tagger, and most of these, the tags that we picked up out of Singleton with these white tags, they've either tried to lay down, or they've been doughy coming in, or they've tried to rush it. So I reckon the last bloke probably had a pretty awful setup, or they were too hard on him. Those white tag cattle could have been bashed around with prodders and all sorts of stuff. So that's maybe why they were a bit, why they had some attitude. Come on, Junior. Now there's another of these white ear taggers. Be interesting to see what he does. Yeah, he's doing the same as he's, but he's not quite as bad. And it's taken us 2 hours. It's taken us 2 hours to induct 105 steers. So I don't know what other fellas reckon, but that's about fair average time. Particularly the drench, back line, weighed. So all these steers are now are now on our system. The EID tags are on our system, and we can track them individually now. So Ken, without talking numbers, because anybody can make up numbers, how would you describe these yards? You are a neighbour here. Deb and I value your input all the time, because often there's little jobs need doing up here which we can't get up for. We have to do everything on the weekend, and we do rely on you to just help us out from time to time. How would you describe these yards and the general setup after your experience?
Well, I find them a very outstanding set of yards where 3 people can work in them, and you're not on each other's footsteps, and the cattle go magnificently through the normal yards and the race and the crush and the weighing, and we did 260 head last week. Weighed them all, and the machines, Murray separates and puts them into 3 different yards depending on the weight of them, and it's a credit to Murray and Ded Schaefer for the National Stockyards, how they produced a beautiful set of yards with very little work needed to manage it and run it.
Thanks Ken, your cheque will be in the mail, mate.
Oh yeah, no problem.